Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back. I'm not just standing in front of loads of brand new motorbikes at a show talking gibberish. I'm actually here, legitimately about to do a motorbike review, a real motorbike review. And not only that, here I am in Agadir, Morocco. I've come all the way to Agadir to do this review. Now, you might be thinking, what? Who has flown that fool all the way to Agadir? Is he there for KTM, for Ducati, for Aprilia? Oh no, I'm here for this. The Honda Transalp XL 650 VD something or other. Yeah, usually when these motorbike reviews will say, right, well, we're going to go test ride this bike now. We're going to take it out on the road, and then we're going to test its off-road chops by taking it to some track, off the beaten track, don't you know? Well, I'm not going to do that because I've already ridden it, on-road and off-road. So I'm ready to give you my conclusion now. It's a bag of crap. This is literally one of the worst bikes I've ever ridden in my life, if not the worst bike. It is horrid. It's basically a DeVille with crusty knickers on because it is the 650 from the DeVille. It's gutless. The brakes are probably the worst I've ever experienced in my life. And I own a Super Tenere 750 and I thought those brakes were so bad that they were actually faulty. No, this is bad. Suspension is just crap. The tires are, well, there's more cracks in these tyres than at a global nudist convention. It's a horrible bike. I really can't think of anything nice to say about it at all. The engine is a bag of shite. The suspension is a crock of shite. The brakes are a barrel of shite. And basically, it looks like shite. Are there any redeeming features on it? It has a top box. And top boxes are always good. But other than that, no, I literally can't think of anything else about it at all. With respect to this bike, now, as I said, this is a 650. They stopped making this in 2007. So this is a minimum 15 years of age. So I was trying to tell this to the hire company and saying, no, it's only got 10,000 kilometers, only 10,000 kilometers. It was in storage for years. And I'm like, 110,000 kilometers, because this thing is just a bag of crap. But then I checked the date stamps on the tires. 2006. Yep, they gave me a bike with 16-year-old tires. And they show it. They show it. Not only are they squared off, but there's just no grip on them at all. No, it did have a screen on it. I took the screen off this morning. You couldn't see through it. It was just dark brown and scratched up to hell. Plus the amount of wind it actually buffeted was unreal. I stood up and I had to get above the screen and I had less wind buffeting. Plus the fact when I checked the video footage from yesterday, you couldn't really see anything. So I took it off just so I could have a better view of the road for you. Now I have taken this bike on the road and off-road. In its defense, it was a lot more capable off-road than I thought. Still didn't inspire me with confidence. When I'm on it, there was 123 kilometer stretch and it was proper off-roading. So it wasn't terrible off-road. It did what it had to do, even though I was a little bit kind of gritting the teeth. I did actually touch my boot on the road, going around a left-hander. Don't ask me how. I don't know how I managed it. You know the way if you touch your boot or your peg down on the road, you get a little bit of a little giggle out of it. When I did it, I got a little poo. Yeah, it was, that wasn't meant to happen. So I don't know. Maybe I am being a little unfair on this bike. It has 16-year-old tires, which are squared off. The suspension oil is probably 16 years old. No probably about it. It's definitely 16 years old as well. And I reckon the brake pads are probably 16 years old also. But other than that, it's horrible. And it just looks like shite. So, no, don't buy it. Don't get one. If you're given one for free, I'd get rid of it and get a bicycle. Or walk. But this is my first bike review. And I'm in Agadir in Morocco, and it's beautiful. And most of the roads are epic. And if I had a KTM 890 or a Multi V2 or a Tiger 660 or an 800, wouldn't even need an 800, 660, it would be just something with balls and brakes. You know, that's the simple thing to ask. This thing, Honda Transalp.
Whoa, hold on. You're supposed to be a professional here. Where are the technical details? Well, I do apologise. It must have been that second glass of Pinot Grigio I was wafting from the balcony of my 5-star suite overlooking the Atlantic Ocean. So, to satisfy you anoraks out there, while trying to give the impression I know what I'm talking about, here are some of the specifications and history of this awful bike. Well, the XL650V Transalp was introduced in the year 2000 with the washing machine motor from a DeVille, producing a pounding 52 brake horsepower at a stratospheric 7,500 RPM. But what in the name of GS is you be doing up at 7.5k, I have no idea. Of more relevance, it thumps out 40 foot-pound of torque at 5,500 RPM, and in fairness to it, it certainly didn't seem like it was lacking in that department at low revs as I was trying to bash through the off-road sections. She's a heavy girl at around 218 kilos, but I only really felt this when trying to pull off on the rocky sections. I didn't feel it when it got going, so I'll give it that. Now in 2007 the bike was replaced with the XL700V Transalp, but if there was a corresponding DeVille 700 at the same time, I have no idea. I guess I could have looked it up on Google, but I couldn't be asked. Now with all that out of the way, I have to give the thing some credit where it is deserved, and that was for its off-road ability. It did actually have some. Surprisingly, it handled everything that was thrown at it without much of a sniff of protest at all. Now, it didn't inspire massive confidence while doing so. There was very little feedback or feel from the handlebars or pegs, but it also didn't strike the fear of God into me either, that it was going to suddenly throw me off the edge of the cliff or land me on the dirt with a rock up me hole. You were gritting your teeth trying to navigate corners over the boulders, but I would put that down to the tyres and can't really fault the bike for that. So now, this might have some of you whinging into your Horlicks screaming, "You see, it is a good bike," but no, it's not. This is supposed to be a dual-purpose bike, and while it has indeed shown some competence off-road, it still doesn't mask the fact that it is so woeful on-road. And if your primary focus is actually off-road, then there are countless other better alternatives out there, some of which, like older CRFs and XRs, are also made by Honda. And well, if you're still looking for alternatives to either a bicycle or walking, get an SV650 or even a Beamer 650 GS instead, and maybe try to inject some fun into your life. Oh look, there's a camel.
So there you go, that was my very first motorbike review. Hope you enjoyed it. I may never be back with another one. Yeah, the beginning and the end of my career. Transalp 650. Bag of